Perfect time for this. We got 4 bars. Means no one's competing for that weekend damaged cell phone tower near me this early. It's 6:30 in the morning. I'm already about 7-8 minutes into this because I did Facebook first. Hopefully we get some people in. It's kind of early for a lot of you guys, but it should be a really good, really productive session. With the sun not fully up yet, it's already hot, but we're just going to knock this out. We're going to knock it out. I've gotten used to now doing all the cardio, running the really low fat. So now I do think I'm going to work a little bit of healthy fats back in. I do love that method. But I think that my energy turnover is high enough with the fasting that I don't have to necessarily drop rock bottom fat, because we do have to think about inflammation, certain hormones and stuff, especially if I want to keep metabolic rate high. Now, granted, all the carbs will do that. Now, hopefully I set this to public, by the way. Yeah, there we go. It's early though, I got to remember that. I'm expecting people to pop in here when it's 6:30 in the morning. There won't be anybody on the West Coast in here. I can catch them later in the day though. So I think I just need to be smart about this in the midday ones. I just need to do them inside on my bike. It'll save a lot of problems. So hopefully though, more people stream in. It should be a nice long walk. We have great connectivity. I got 4 bars, so that tells me no one's up hammering that tower yet. Unless they fixed it, but I don't think they fixed it. He had said when I called in that they've had 35 days of issues. I'm like, well, yeah, just go fix it. You know, but what do you do? But hopefully so. Maybe because they're getting more and more reports, people like me, they'll get on it quicker. So yeah, you guys know the plan though. We're going to get leaner, doing 2 hours or more of cardio a day. With it being the weekends, like I said, I might be able to squeeze more in, which is good because it's just content, right? It's content, it's videos. But this one should be a pretty long session. And even though it's not ideal time for everyone there, it's ideal time for me, right? Because I can get out, get fresh air, sunshine. It's a weekend and the sun's not fully up. Now it may be by the end of this, it's getting brighter, but also let me get a really brisk walk in, because that's the one thing that sucks, trying to read the screen when it slows me down. That's why I tell people, don't ask me long questions. Like, you're literally, if I answer your question, it's destroying my cardio, because I got to slow down to try to read it. But Syke says, hey, what's up, Syke? How you doing? Hit the like button for me, brother. Get those likes going up. So it's going to be a nice, hopefully pretty long cardio session. Use the bathroom, everything first. We should be good. So hopefully we get plenty of people in. But if it gets good engagements and it's long, it gets views after also. But we can only expect so much when I'm doing this many lives. Not that many people have time to chime in for all of them. So already did. All right, appreciate it, brother. So what do you got going on, man? Anything going on with you? Any training questions, lifting questions, fitness comments? Also letting everybody know, I got to remember to push consultations, not just coaching, because that worked the other day. I did one of these where I'm like, told the guy, well, I can get you in a consultation there, you know, for an hour of my time. You pay for it, and he did it, and he already paid, and I got to schedule his late tonight. So I got to remember to do that in these more. This is the golden opportunity. The more lives I do, the more consultations I sell. Because people ask questions, I'm like, dude, this is one-on-one stuff. Let's get you in. The only exception is that one guy who's made 50 accounts for me to ban, who's still 142 pounds. Do you have a way to get better stamina? Yes. Do you see what I'm doing right now? Cardio, my friend. Just do cardio. Increase stamina in general. But I mean, how extreme are you trying to go? What do you mean by, you know, stamina? You could probably be a little more specific. But if you just want to increase general stamina, do some cardio. All right? Now, if you're chasing extreme endurance, that's its own separate topic. Like how hard are you trying to go? Like if you're trying to prep for a marathon, well, that's not going to be the same thing. Makes sense? But just general stamina, just add cardio. Add cardio, you'll be good, right? Unless you miss stamina in the bedroom, but cardio helps with that too, right? Make sure you build your glutes, hamstrings up, lots of squats, deadlifts, hip hinges, and do cardio, right? That way we get some sport-specific training, specificity of training right there, right? Applied in the real world. Yep. Oh man, I hope this lighting stays pretty clear like this. Maybe like a 5K or something like that. That's not too bad. Yeah, 5K. Let's get out and jog. Obviously, your lifting will help, right? I'm just going to ignore this other guy with his question. It boosts the algorithm, so no need to ban him. Thoughts on stomach vacuums? Stomach vacuums can be legit. Like if you're trying to do certain stuff with your waistline aesthetically, they work. They also train the transverse abdominal, right? So definitely a valid exercise. That would fix a lot of problems in bodybuilding, by the way. They make mandatory vacuum pose again. How much would that fix in modern bodybuilding? Right? So unbelievably persistent. Those are my thoughts on stomach vacuums. They can have some strength benefits, but they definitely have aesthetic benefits. For coaching, do you have a sign up through Facebook? The reason I say through Facebook, because I don't want to have 17 different places I contact clients. So I have clients who literally 4 years ago made a Facebook account just for the coaching. They don't use it for anything else, and they don't have their pictures on it. They just have their name, right? Because I coach through Messenger, Messenger allows me to have encrypted video calls. It lets me keep a record of all my clients in one place. It's in a system to where I have physical keys to where people can't hack me. So they can't get access to any of that unless they literally rob me at gunpoint and take my keys, because I have multiples of them, like locked away. So I want everything in one place because I can do file transfers, video transfers, real time video calls, and everybody's in one place. So that's why I do require it for Messenger. Does it make sense? And it's not going anywhere. Meta is not going anywhere anytime soon. Do you know any good core exercises? My favorite is the hanging leg raise. But I mean, just crunches, weighted crunches, band crunches, cable crunches, crunches with a plate. They all work. But I'm a big fan of the hanging leg raise. All right? Big fan of the hanging leg raise. Although I didn't do many this week. Kind of trimmed them back out just to focus on all my other stuff. I don't feel like I need them right now. My core is crazy strong and developed. And I can do like 12, 13 of the full hard type hanging leg raises. Mr. whatever, big ball bag. What's up, dude? So psych, yeah, I'm a big fan of the hanging leg raise. It's my go-to. But those others all work. I mean, crunches with a plate definitely get the job done. Hit those likes, by the way, guys. Get those likes up. Need more engagements. Get them likes up for daddy. Come on now. But yeah, so unbelievably persistent. That is why I use Facebook. It's mainly for the Messenger. You don't need to be active on Facebook, but I do need you to have a Messenger account. And all my clients have. I have had so far, since I've been doing this through my channel, I've had 150 clients total. No problems, they all did it. And like I said, several, even some of the current ones, they only have Facebook for the coaching. It's easy to do. Right? Yeah, plus I have business support with all of it. So, I mean, I have tech support and everything because I have business accounts through Facebook. Notice I have, obviously a check mark on my big page, not just my profile. I have them on both. So I have a full business account with them. So I get a lot of tech support and everything. Yes, I actually can call Facebook and they will answer, but I pay for that. Why'd you stop training? I felt like I needed more, right? From the strength perspective and everything. So I went back to my traditional upper lower, which is what I've done most of my training years, most of my life. But I still have a lot of clients who do the once a week. And I feel like for me, if I went back to once a week, it would just be a push-pull legs, right? As far as the head stuff, I would agree, but I'm not really lifting heavy, am I? Right? So that's something I'm making a different note of too with that stuff. Notice the difference in the training. Everything is really 5+ reps. I'm doing stuff now to where we just get less problems because I'm doing everything through harder ranges of motion. So notice I'm doing ass to grass squats. My belt squats are ass to grass. I'm not doing deficit deadlifts for my rep work. So, but I think when you start lifting really heavy, yeah, you're not going to subject those joints to heavy loads twice a week each on those same loadings. It's a problem in your 40s, which is why conjugate works in that case, because you really only have 2 heavy days a week, really 2 heavy lifts. That's it. So the main thing you're looking at in your 40s is you've just got to limit the volume and frequency of your truly heavy work, But I can do 5s and 6s on flat back benching just fine, because that's not heavy. So, and then we run into the issue of if you want certain amounts of volume, you run into junk volume if you're not careful. I feel like definitely the body part type split for an over 40 lifter works best when you're doing the 3-day push-pull legs. And it's mainly because you're probably not doing that much volume. But I limit my guys doing that to about at most 8 to 10 sets for a muscle group at the most. Because once we start exceeding that when you're not on drugs, it's just too hard to sustain the volume. You turn into junk volume per session. Makes sense? Will you shave it or wax it? What are you talking about? Shave what? I've currently let my chest hair grow out. Everything else is nared off, but I'm just letting the chest hair grow. If I get really lean, I might take it back off, but I don't need to right now. 10 sets for each muscle group on a push-pull legs, that must be pretty. They are, but that's, notice that I said that's the upper threshold. I said that is the absolute most. And I would agree that's obviously a pretty long session. But they're not doing that. Most of them aren't doing that. It's closer to 6. So take Alex as an example, right? You've seen his vlogs, client Alex. He does 6 sets per muscle once a week on a push-pull legs. Those are very reasonable sessions. But we start running out of steam after about 6 very quickly. So that's why for me, if I want to do 12 sets of muscle group, I really do need a split upper lower. Right? If we want quality, the chest hair obviously. I nair. I don't shave or wax. I nair body hair off when I take it off. So I mean, I did my legs and arms and back this week. Dude, I am not trying to wax this. Come on. Like, this is not even fully grown out yet. It's taking its time. I need to watch his vlogs then. How strong is he? Best lifts, he's hit a 430 deadlift. He's hit a 405 squat. He's about 180 pounds. Super busy guy, though. His bench is, we've only benched in the mid 200s. But chest has been a weak link for him. That's why we're doing all that incline and other stuff. So he does flat bench, incline, and then overhead press all his press day. But again, he's not a power lifter. So his workouts are about 45 minutes, 3 times a week. That's what he has time for. I've had him for a couple years. For hypertrophy, it's generally better to do high volumes with a couple of reps left in the tank or lower volumes with each set. How about we take the middle ground? How about you go to very close to failure or 0 to 1 rep in reserve? I don't think you should have 2 reps in reserve except on things like squats and deadlifts, right? That's about the only lifts I recommend that on. You should be very close to failure and just appropriate volumes. But yeah, I mean, if you're leaving 2 or more reps in reserve, you have to have higher volume. It's not an option. You have to have twice the volume. So if you're training everything 2 reps in reserve versus 0 reps in reserve, but not quite to failure, like very, very close, you literally get the same training stimulus, you need almost double the volume. So can you reach a 500 deadlift on 6 sets? Yeah, sure. So Tom, does that make sense? People need to be thinking in terms of, instead of a volume, how many effective reps did you get? A lot of people's sets have no effective reps. They're so easy sometimes. They're not even stimulating anything. They're just jump volume. Is it possible for skinny hard gainers to achieve lean gains? Yes. What is a hard gainer? Let's set aside, I've made vastly detailed long videos on a hard gainer. A hard gainer is someone who struggles with their appetite. That's it. Okay? That's what a hard gainer is. Now, the other guys who think they're hard gainers who go, I only gain fat when I bulk. They're not a hard gainer, they're a dumbass. Why? Because they're gaining fat on a bulk. Why would you gain weight that fast? They're gaining muscle at the same rate every human does, but they try to gain 4 pounds a month and then they wonder why they got fat. Well, because even on steroids, you can't gain 4 pounds of muscle in a month. So why would you think you're doing anything but getting fat? They're gaining 1 pound of muscle and 3 pounds of fat every month. And then when they panic and diet it off, they lose the little bit of muscle they gained. And so then they say, I only gain fat when I bulk. Well, no, you're doing a sloppy, nasty, dirty bulk and you're making yourself fat. I might consider push-pull legs. Currently do upper lower. I've trained a muscle once a week before and it was pretty good. Had absolutely no injuries. Yeah. Thoughts on LinkedIn partials? I don't buy into the LinkedIn partial nonsense. Overhyped from a small circle of PhDs who are not even that good at what they do. Just gonna call it like it is. Do I think we should put some emphasis into LinkedIn position exercises? Absolutely. Should we be literally pretending that removing the shortened position is going to produce superior results? No, that's stupid. You remember when shortened position exercises were all the rage 10 years ago? All the PhDs were screaming about the merits of shortened position exercises. That was the big trend on the YouTube and internet. Now they've gone to LinkedIn position. Look, we all know for free weights that don't have any sort of cam involved, LinkedIn position for most exercises, unless there's active insufficiency, is going to produce the most mechanical tension. So should you be focusing on it? Yes. Should you be doing partials in that range? No. Why would you? Why are you trying to skip the shortened position? Like, what benefit are you trying to gain? Keeping in mind, though, we're in the context of barring active insufficiency. So in some exercises, you're going to have some, a lot more in the shortened position. Sure, okay. But it doesn't mean skipping is going to help you. It just means you may not be getting much out of it. But wouldn't a muscle being worked twice a week give a faster gains? Not necessarily. So it's going to depend on neural drive. Definitely in terms of, what's the term I'm looking for? I'm out of breath and walking. So when we're talking about neural drive and repeat exposure, absolutely, right? So if you're chasing the neural drive on those lifts, it makes sense. If you need certain amounts of volume, it makes sense. So here's what I'm gonna say. If you're trying to do 10 or more sets a week and you're not chemically enhanced, sufficiently chemically enhanced, it probably does make sense to split it up into two. If you're trying to optimize, doesn't mean you won't make really good gains. So you're talking for the purpose of optimization. And the reason is because you're drifting into potentially a lot of junk volume, right? So if you're wanting to say hit like what I'm doing right now, 12 sets of muscle group, you really think you're gonna optimize that if you're not on 2 grams of test a week in one session, you're gonna run into a lot of junk volume where you're gonna have to take real long breaks near the end. Your sessions are gonna get really long. And it'll work, right? It'll work, but you're gonna be in the gym longer. And the reason is because you're like, oh, but it's at the end, I'm just taking these sets to failure at the end for these smaller exercises with short breaks, but you're not gaining any muscle from it because you're not hitting any of the upper threshold muscle fibers. You're too fatigued. So it's really, that falls back into junk volume unless you're spacing out the breaks. So your question is very nuanced. But, you know, if you're doing less than 10 sets a week for a muscle, like you're doing 8 or 9, 6, we can make a solid case for literally just a 3-day push-pull legs is probably sufficient. Now, could we make a case for if you're doing 3 sets twice a week, if they're really, truly hard sets, very efficient, we might be able to make some cases, particularly from a neural drive and progressive overload for twice a week, but we're really getting tit for tat. What about people who just don't have a lot of time? They just want to get really good gains for limited time in the gym. 2 to 3 day push-pull legs works great. May not be optimal, but are you chasing good gains, great gains, or optimal gains? Well, if you're busy, you don't have an optimal lifestyle anyways. So again, your question has a lot of nuance. This is stuff I have to think about as a coach for my individual clients and lifters, right? So again, understand the nuance. People want just definitive yes, no's. And I'm like, no, it's not just a depends and everyone's different. We need to know why. Well, honestly, my goal is to just get a 500 squat and deadlift. Ooh, I might, 500 squat. Are you drug free? You're gonna struggle with a 3-day push-pull legs for a 500 squat. 500 deadlift, but unless you're a pretty big frame guy, that's gonna be a tall order. Not saying it's impossible. I'm gonna lean back towards a 4-day upper lower, even just like conjugate type stuff, unless you're just gonna power build your way up to it. Get those likes up, by the way, guys. We've had a lot of questions and only 4 likes. That is not good. I get it, it's early though, but this is gonna be an hour-long stream. I wanna get the most out of it. I'm dropping some knowledge bombs in here on deeper programming and nuanced questions. Sounds good. Thanks for the helpful advice. If you want a consultation, though, I do consultations. I'm pushing them in here because it works. I get lots of people in them. I'm doing one tonight. It already has been paid for. If you need one-on-one help, hit me up on Facebook. I do consultation calls. They are $100, but I promise you will get your money's worth. Like if you need me to really map out a program, I do that all the time. I'll sit there for an hour with you and optimize 12 weeks of training for you if that's what you need, if you don't need full coaching. All right. So again, hit me up through Messenger. You can do it through Instagram also. You have to let me know you messaged me because it goes to a spam folder there. But either way, hit me up, dude. I'll be happy to help you out. So, because again, a 500 squat's a tall order. Like without direct coaching, 500 squat is a lofty goal. I've gotten plenty of people there, but they weren't able to get there on their own. Tell me how to reduce belly fat, a calorie deficit. Calorie deficit will reduce belly fat unless you believe in silly gurus and their silly scam supplements. Well, we have this cord block. It'll block the cortisol, which, by the way, cortisol is not causing you to gain fat, by the way. 500 squat. You know what, Crunch? Your mom causes arthritis. Yeah, I said that. What you gonna do about it? 500 squat causes arthritis. Yes, it causes an inflammatory disease. I think your piss poor diet causes arthritis. I think your mom causes arthritis, Crunch. All right. Yes, I'm just going to pop your mom jokes all day. I did it all over Facebook this morning. People showing up after one week my knees. That's because you don't know how to squat. Again, consultation. Crunch, you complained about this last time. I told you get in for a consultation. You haven't done it. So you going to complain about your knees, or you going to get in for a consultation call? I need a yes or no. Give me an answer. I'll fix it. But you need to quit coming in here with your nonsense. So, you know, Coach not going to have it. You don't get to complain to someone and come in their thing and complain when they are selling the solutions and able to help you. And then you just ignore it. Wow, Jason. What's up, Paul? We're up here getting our cardio did. That's what we got going on. This is not the first stream. I had 7 minutes already on Facebook before I hopped over here. So we get this fasted. First session indefinitely fasted. All right. Yep. Yeah, buddy. How was your... What do you mean? Which one? Talking about the first one I did when I was like 23 years old. What are we talking about? Jason, I want to get shredded, not bulky. How do you think that's even possible, Crunch? Crunch, are you planning on using steroids? Then you're not going to get bulky. Don't worry about it. Not going to happen. No chance. Drug-free guys only get bulky if they're, you mean fat. You mean you don't want to be a fat guy? Being shredded is easy. Well then, so Crunch. So when you say you don't want to be bulky, you don't need to tell me that. You need to say, I don't want to use high doses of steroids. That means the same thing. That doesn't happen from lifting weights. All right. Oh man, you guys are funny. I don't want to get too big. It's like, limit your steroid dosage. You won't get too big. It's not that difficult, guys. All right. Problem solved. Okay, so then why are you worried about being bulky? You should gain as much muscle as you possibly can natural. If you just want to look lean and shredded, gain as much lean muscle as your frame will hold without drugs. All of it. Every last drop. You'll be just fine. Nobody's ever gotten too big without steroids. Most dudes who use steroids don't even get that big. Between cardio and lifting, you might be pushing 4 hours every day. Well, no, I only lift 4 days a week, Alan. So, yeah, it's like 4 hours on those days. Jason, your perception of what is big is warped. What do you mean? Well, I've been in the lifting world for decades. So yes, I have a very warped perception of what is big. So Hugh Jackman is Wolverines. Do you think that's big? I don't think that's big. To me, that's just a lean, shredded guy. Right? Does Brian Shaw uses metric fuck tons of steroids? There's your answer. Brian Shaw uses enough steroids to kill an elephant. All right. And that shouldn't even be up for debate. Like that's, he probably wouldn't deny that if we were to ask him. And I like the guy. All right. So Paul, I don't think my perception is warped. I don't think it's warped at all. But I mean, is it going to be biased? Hey Paul, even asking me about that is probably going to get you kicked out of here. Quit making fun of mentally handicapped people and talking about them like they're an actual topic. Same with Michael Hooper. Yeah, I mean, well, all those guys, they're competing in World's Strongest Man. You don't get there without being well over 6 foot, without being a genetic freak, and without using a ton of drugs. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely biased. But I think what people consider too big is still not obtainable natural. Okay. And I think people underestimate how long it takes to gain muscle. Like, people have delusional, warped ideas about how quickly they think they're going to gain muscle. This is why all these kids get fat and then cry about it when they bulk too fast. I'm like, dude, a pound a month. If you gain 20 pounds of muscle in 2 years of lean muscle, consider it a great success. And then it's going to slow way down. Yeah. What's a natural body look like? So picture Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, but less shredded, because he's not natural, right? So take about where he is, and the average guy, average genetics could be about that size, but less cut up, way less ripped. They're not going to have that chiseled, what he has there. If you bust your ass really, really, really hard for 5 years and gain as much muscle as absolutely possible, like you dedicate yourself to it. So that's what we mean, that's natural. Batista used tons of drugs. What are you talking about? Batista's still on drugs. Because of all the stuff he used, I promise you he's still on TRT and low growth. Almost guaranteed. Yeah, Batista was juiced to the absolute gills. That is mega dosing. Not everyone deadlifts over 500 pounds over bench. Yeah. Which is really upsetting to me, Paul. You're like, not everyone deadlifts over 500, not everyone benches. They should. All right. Hey, Paul, if I could have my way, they would. Why Brock Lesnar heavily juiced with murder jigs? Brock Lesnar is a combination of genetic freaks and drugs. Your build will determine what you're capable of. Yeah, he's got a point. Same with Cena, and yet people think he's natural. Anyone who thinks Cena is natural is a moron. Like, it's not even remotely believable. So any person who says, well, it's possible Cena is natural, you need to stay the hell away from a salesman. Do not ever talk to a salesman your whole life. You're going to get pretty much stuck. Like, you're going to get conned by every swindler and con man you talk to. So I'm saying as a default, if someone tells me, well, I think John Cena might, there's a possibility. Okay, if you say that, You are so naive, you need to be terrified of salesmen. Run from every salesman trying to sell you anything, because you're going to lose all your money to every con man you meet, because you're naive as hell. Like, you're on the top tier naive. All right. Brock Lesnar, Chelsea's message. Mick McMahon got seriously jacked at one point. Yeah, he did. So again, we just calling it like it is. And it's not hate. It's just stating facts. Like, someone with decades in the iron game who's been around all this stuff, who knows what's obtainable and what isn't from decades of observation. Not a snowball's chance in hell. And if you even think there is, you're delusional. And it just is what it is. You're either incredibly naive, incredibly ignorant, or you're delusional, and you're drinking some Kool-Aid. Eddie Guerrero died of a heart attack. How do you know that steroids caused his heart attack? You need, again, hey Crunch, you're arguing stuff you don't know anything about. Just stop. I have known numerous bodybuilders who did die of heart attacks at younger ages who used steroids, and every one of them used cocaine, heroin, or other drugs on top of it. Every single one of them. Hey Crunch, we're just getting rid of your silly ass. I ain't got time for it. I tried to give you consultations and you've been complaining about not being able to squat 135, and now you're just getting on my nerves. Again, when you don't know about something, don't argue it. I just can't tolerate ignorance. Can't tolerate ignorance in somebody. If you don't know something, just step back and say you don't know something and move on, right? I don't go to golf streams and argue with them about the finer points of golf because I don't play golf. Well, you know, your doctor will tell you, no, he won't. I'm very annoyed by the Dunning-Kruger effect in general with people in fitness. It's a problem. So what's going on, Rufio? To drop me a like. Morning, Jason. What's up, Davino? How we doing, homie? We're getting that cardio done. That's what I'm doing. What are you doing? So far, we're about 45 minutes deep. You know, I don't know if you caught the Facebook one. That's where you probably saw it, hopped over to the tubes. We started with Facebook. All right. I drop you like always as much as I can. Appreciate it, Rufio. Jason, you think some people have better builds for weighted bench dips over the bench? Not necessarily, no. I mean, well, let me rephrase that. Are you talking for total weight, or are you talking development? Yeah, I mean, in theory, someone with a really shallow rib cage, because their rib cage doesn't affect the range of motion, like it's going to be harder for them to bench because they have extra range of motion in the lengthened position. Sure, bench might be harder for them and they're not going to have the same limitation on the dip. So hypothetically, yes. Had a 30-minute walk on the treadmill, now having some coffee, awesome. In regards to your shoulder anatomy and in regards to development. No, I'm going to say, in terms of that though, it's probably going to be rib cage, not shoulder, because you're looking at ranges of motion. But, okay, that's for moving weight. That shallower rib cage means they're going to get a longer lengthened position out of the flat bench. So hypertrophy, they might be at an advantage. I don't know. Is decline bench really best for lower chest, or is it just subject to debate? I don't know that it really is that much better. I think the decline bench is a good lift. Just be aware it does turn into a partial. I don't know that it's only lower pec. There's no data to show that. We know dips, decline, flat bench all work the upper chest pretty effectively. I mean, decline, so we don't have studies on the, to my knowledge, hypertrophy studies for the upper pec, but decline on an EMG lights the upper pec up just as effectively as anything else. Now, EMG is not always evidence of hypertrophy, but at least from a motor unit situation, it clearly is fine. I mean, dips technically work your upper chest, and they're a similar angle to the decline. I mean, a dip is, for all purposes, a body weight decline bench, really, from a angle perspective, right? You know? And the thing I've got to ask, though, I've had to wonder more and more in recent years when I've looked at different physiques, is big lower chest ever really aesthetically bad? Is it really like we've pretended that it is? Because all these impressive physiques, a lot of them you see on TV, they have big old thick lower pecs, wrestling, everything else. Agree, but biomechanically it's an open chain movement. Yeah. But does the open or closed chain really, truly make that big of a difference? Maybe from stabilizing in a neural drive. So I'm going to say really our benefits are not hypertrophy from open versus closed chain. They're more of neural drive, right? Haven't used decline bench in over a decade. Flat bench and dips is enough. Yeah, dude. I mean, flat bench and dips should build your whole chest. That's what I'm doing right now. My decline bench is heavier than my flat. Is that because it's a partial? Yeah. What other lifts besides squats target the abductors effectively? Leg press, hack squats, split squats, lunges, sumo deadlifts, wider stance good mornings. Those all hit the abductors really effectively. I mean, squats work pretty dang good. EMG shows his activation upper chest from chin-ups, if I remember correctly. Okay, Paul, true. But how do you know it's not causing some stimulus? It's activating it because it's putting it into a stretch position. I mean, it definitely lights up the long head of the tricep. You can make a case, and I've seen even Mike Israetel say that. He goes, we might be able to make a case for long head tricep hypertrophy from pull-ups and chin-ups. I've seen him actually say that. It might be a case for it. So, no, I don't lift on the weekends right now. I'm just doing my 4-day. Yesterday was pretty tough. I'm enjoying doing the really deep leg stuff. So I've set my ego to the side and just squat, paws, ass to grass all the way down. Do my belt squats all the way down, hamstrings to heels. I'm like 6-7 inches below parallel on those. You know, why wouldn't a bent arm lat movement continue to work them too? Work what? I think straight arm movements definitely work the upper chest and long head. Yeah. I need you to be specific in what you're asking, Paul. I don't fully understand your question. But definitely the straight arm stuff will. I mean, as long as it pulls up over, puts it into the lengthened position. I mean, in theory, bent arm could too. We're talking tricep long head. As long as it's put in that position, because that long head activation is really dependent upon the movement of the shoulder. It's a big factor. I saw a doctor like Israel last year. He actually more like 5'3", not 5'6". I mean, these guys all add up. I mean, dude, I've been to expos. It's funny. Dudes claiming 5'11" and 6 foot, and they're the same height as me. Dudes claiming 5'8", and they're like to hear on me. And I'm like, dude, I'm not that short. I mean, I'm not that tall. Like, you guys are straight fronting. But I think that's common. Because you see it apparently on dating apps and everything else. And in general, I think people really don't know their real height. I really think that's a situation. But I've never met Dr. Mike in person. But I mean, most really like jack-looking bodybuilders are pretty short. Americans are quite tall globally. True, at the global level. But a lot of Americans lie about height. They all want to be that 6 foot. Like there was a survey, like an American survey of men, and 30% of men said they were 6 foot. Only 12% of men are actually 6 foot or taller in the US. But in surveys, 30% believe they were. That tells you something right there. 1 in 3 dudes walking down the streets says they're 6 foot or taller, when it's really 1 in 8. Just saying. So it seems to be a whole epidemic of people doing it. I've been stung quite a few times. Been stung by what? By wasps, hornets. Yeah, me too. I got a red wasp a few weeks ago. I was dealing with them in my bushes in my front yard. There was an infestation. And I went in and sprayed them, and one of them popped my butt. It's like, really, dude? Right on the injection site? Killing me. He was going for that testosterone. That's what it was. He's like, I'm going to be a super wasp. Get in there, get a little test sip. Hail to the user, brother. That's what he did. Just like that. He was screaming it too. He was screaming gains while he did it. Yes, I'm ridiculous. You guys get me unfiltered in here. That's what I'm like around my friends. Jason, I do calisthenics. What would you say is a good goal to work towards in regards to the weighted dips and chins for an average male? I don't know. What's your range of motion like? If you can do work sets with a 45, you're good. But I don't know what you weigh. But then again, size and strength. I don't know. I think if you can do reps with a 45 for the average guy, you're good to go. Right? Oh, they're honking at each other, pulling out of the driveway. I thought I was being honked at. I started a 4-day, 3-off program this week. Take off 3 days is harder than I thought. It's getting me to do cardio. I don't want to be taking 3 days off in a row personally. No, that wasn't about me. I'm on the sidewalk. So someone was trying to pull out of their driveway while someone was coming, and they had to stop because they almost hit them, and they stopped and honked at them. I thought the women's was honking at me. It was like, holla back. Chicks are crazy. They'll be rolling down the window screaming, you got a license for those guns, baby. They be catcalling and stuff. I get scared. I gotta run. I don't need all that. All right. Yeah, Paul, I think a 45 is good. You said the average guy. Crazy how high strength standards are for bench deads, but they're so low. What do you mean? I think they're pretty comparable. Look, I can bench 315 for reps. I do chins from a dead hang with a 45. I got a big lats. I think it's perfectly reasonable. Then again, I have to factor in my body weight. Cat calling. Is one side of your body always stronger than the other? To some extent, yeah, because humans are asymmetrical. Cat calling, right? Vino, you know what I'm talking about. Dude, you lift. Dude, women be crazy. They really do that stuff, man. They'll be that, hey, baby. So, what's wrong with you, bitch? Doing that. You know how women feel now. All right. Have you ever been hit on whilst on one of the walks? I've been hit on just going to the grocery store. What are you talking about? Dude, I lift weights. All right, how many sets to failure per muscle per workout to achieve close to maximum stimulus? Failure doesn't produce more muscle growth than 1 to 0 reps in reserve. So how about you just say close to limit sets? Maximum stimulus in a single workout, if you're going that hard, I doubt you're going to see any growth beyond about 7 or 8 sets from one workout. I'm going to claim that's near the limit for a muscle. I can dip 135 pounds easily. Cool, so you probably bench 315 for 10, right? So you can target lower body first for strong foundation before adding more muscle in your upper body. Why don't you just train both? What are you talking about? Why do we do this either or? Just train your entire body from day one as hard as possible. You think, man, I think it would think they're intimidated by bigger guys. I was walking around at 275, nothing. Too front. Yeah, but see, I'm walking around at 220. Now, Jason, I can barely bench. I don't believe you. Paul, if you're telling me you can do a full range of motion dip all the way down with 135, I could have you benching a ton of weight in 6 weeks. All right, you just don't know how to bench. The strength is there. So full body over 3 days a week for a ranked novice, but you don't need to do full body. What are you talking about? Are you asking for novice lifters? I have free novice programs. There's playlists for it. I have 2 playlists full of free programs. Go check them out. Full body is for novices. You've been training 6 months. I'm gonna say you don't need it anymore. All right, but you should be training everything. So in other words, LJC, right now, I do 12 sets for every muscle, right? My quads, my hamstrings, my pecs, my delts, so on. They all get 12 sets a week. I don't put more emphasis in one area than another. Grow up, buddy. What are you talking about? I'm literally doing a live stream on my profession. This is my profession. I am doing grown-up stuff. I'm literally running a business here. What are you doing? I am a strength coach who is doing his cardio, which is part of his job and his health, who is streaming to his audience talking about training. Well, that's not grown up enough for you? All right, why do you always have 3 spots available? I've already explained why I always say 3 slots. You sound like a hater. Let's get rid of you. We don't need it. Oh man, we've been going an hour now. Paul, I've got crazy long arms and a shallow ribcage. Jason, I think they only had, 170, had a 300-pound total dip. Right now, my one arm bench was 150. What? Where should the bar be during low bar exactly? Generally right around touching the rear delts, just above them, like optimally. But your grip and shoulder mobility is going to affect all that. See, Paul, to me, that's absolutely unbelievable. I can't get my head around that. A 150 bench, even for reps, for a guy who can do a dip with 135, I just can't comprehend this. I can't get my head around it. I could have you benching a lot in 6 weeks, trust me. I really wish you would grow up. Okay, what a weirdo. Paul needs a coach from the sound. I agree, Paul, I agree, the Vino is right. Let's say you're 170 pounds, like you said. You can do a full range of motion dip with 135. I promise you, without getting any bigger, I guarantee you, I could have you benching at least 250 to 275 within less than 6 months. Okay. Yep, Rufio's right. Put an application in. How can a positive APE index, long weekend affects body work? It affects. Well, I have a 3-inch APE index. I'm really good at deadlifts, and I have to work really hard for my bench. That's how it affects it. Obviously, it's not going to necessarily affect muscle growth. People make a mistake with that. No, it's going to affect how much weight you move. But as far as the levers go, technically, you're going to build a bigger chest with lighter weight because of it. Makes sense? Because the mechanical tension is going to be higher on the pectoral. You're going to lift less, though. So think of the APE index in that terms. We can make the same case of like I'm doing deficit deadlifts right now for reps as of yesterday. With a positive APE index, not a bad idea to do that because I could probably use the extra range of motion. Yep, so Devin's right. So it's going to affect your max numbers, but then it's going to disproportionately affect growth in the other way, right? You'll have to have a heavier weight to get the same tension at the tendon level because of the levers, right? Makes sense? But it's not going to matter. It's really won't matter for the muscle growth because Tension is tension. Your top work sets are going to be your top work sets, irrespective. But the note will be, you'll build a bigger chest easier. Not easier, but I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Not going to affect the rate of growth. It will affect how much weight you need on the bar or the dumbbell to get that chest. You'll get there with a lighter weight. Longer leg equals harder squat, easier deadlift. Yep. Thank you. Any particular strength goals to hit by the end of the year? Right now, I'm going to trim down. I'm going to focus on my physique for a bit, and then I'll peak back up on strength. So Rufio, I do that on purpose. I don't set goals that may interfere with what I need to do at the moment. So I set those back to the side and then work towards another thing and then work back over. It's stuff I recommend to clients too. So Rufio, since I'm cutting and doing all this cardio and you see what my training looks like, I don't have strength goals. I'm just going to pretend I do not. Because if I do that, guess what? I'll end my cut. So that's bad mentally. So for me, any focus on strength goals always messes with me psychologically when I want to cut. So I have to pretend I don't care. I obviously care. But I've also said the current lifts that I hit this year, if I cut down leaner and hit those in a competition in a lighter weight class, I'll still go to Worlds. I'll have an elite total. So what I've hit already before this cut, just goofing off this year, quite frankly, if I kept at those and dropped all the way down under 200 ripped, I'd qualify for Worlds in a heartbeat, easily. I'd be classified as having an elite total, no problem. So I can step back and say, do I need to care that much? Or do I need to just gain muscle, shorten my weak length, strip down leaner, then repeat the strength back up? So longer arms, lighter weight, higher volume. Buddy said that. No, I did not say that or imply that. You completely misinterpreted what I said. Deadlift is about 100 pounds more than squat. With Avena for you? Yeah. A lot of factors determine deadlift to squat ratio. A lot of the best squatters in the world squat more than they deadlift. Did you ever compete at 181 just for the sake of knocking down? Rufio, yes. I mean, let's be realistic. Health perspective, I'm 48. If I keep doing this game, am I eventually going to need to do the 181 just to be healthy? You know? We really talk the long game. Once I'm past 50, should I ever really be over 200 pounds? Or should I just be really lean at that point and be under 200? And if I'm under 200 and lean, the 181 is always an easy water cut away. All right. I think you said heavier weight for more tendon tension. Yeah, but no, here's what I mean. You're not comprehending what I'm saying, and that's okay. This stream is winding down though, so may not have time to explain it. No, you're not understanding the biomechanics. What I'm saying is if you have longer arms, a lighter weight gives the same tension. If you have shorter arms, you need more weight on the bar to produce the same tension at the tendon. So that's what we're talking about. So it's basic biomechanics. So you have to understand moment arms and force multipliers. Okay, you understand now? Nothing to do with your programming. No, Tom, they're complete scam. Those are all cons. Anyone pushing those is a con artist. Long distance is good for speed or explosive athletics. Got it. Understood. Many thanks, sir. You're most welcome. So again, I was talking in terms of biomechanics. All right. If I had to guess, who would you predict bodybuilder to be? I don't know, man. I've not been following the scene to really tell you. I can't imagine Big Rammy living that long, though. Who's that other guy? Nick Walker. I can't imagine him living real long. Right? All bench is a matter of form. Arch, you said you'd have bench. Yep. Morning.
We're going to follow you, I think.
Okay, well, let me hop off here. I'm streaming to my audience right now. I'll let them say hi to the dog, though.
There you go.
This dog always likes to say hello. How you doing? All right. When that one was a puppy, it used to run over to my garage when I was training. All right, Sam's too late. No, Sam's not going to kick it anytime that soon. I don't think. Hello, sir. Took milk thistle for liver detox. I'm now facing lots of... What? Yeah, you don't need... Why did you need a liver detox? Are you an alcoholic? How about I don't review? Coach could be having age limits. All right. All right, guys, I am almost home. I got to get a shower real quick and get a couple things sorted. We'll get another stream here later today, but this was productive. We got an hour and 10 minutes. So I hope it's been informative. Love you guys and gals, and I'll talk to you next time.